Hello, and thank you once again, UPT Autosport Selection Committee. I want to thank you so much for this opportunity to even be considered for the second round. I had a 17-year racing career that just stopped one day to the next, and over the last 2 years, I've really thought to myself, if I was capable, if this really was the business for me, and through marketing myself and trying to get sponsorships and coming up short, it's just been really tough, but the confidence I've had with you guys selecting me to the second round is something that I really want to thank you guys for. In addition to that, I think it's really cool the way that you guys are going to disperse the money to the winner. If you look at Scott Dixon, Stingray Robb, who just made IndyCar, who I used to race against when I was a child, they all had their own LLC and they all sold units, and then that's what took them to the top. So the way that you guys set that up and you guys have that partnership, that is the most effective way you can become a racing driver. And to whomever the winner may be, it's really good that they're going to learn that lesson of that financial side of when they have your donation from that, how do they grow that and have more of an audience to bring to the racing career. So let's just get into this video right here. All right, so the first question asked is, what prepares you most for this opportunity? Well, it's a driver shootout, racing, it's to race cars. So the first thing I would say would be my racing experience right off the bat. But I do understand that this is an aspiring driver shootout wanted. And like the ad that I saw on Instagram said, no racing experience necessary. So I want to put that aside for now because I want to be on the same level playing field as every other applicant. I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have more of a racing career than maybe some of these applicants have. And I don't think it's fair just to rule me as a better candidate just through my racing background. So one of the first reasons I would say I'm very qualified for this position and what makes me stand out is my physical fitness. I go to the gym 6 days a week, and most of the days I'm working out in the morning and the night. I usually just go in the morning at 5 a.m. and then if I have extra time in the night, I'll do some cardio in my garage. I have a pull-up bar as well. I've really learned firsthand what the physical level you need to attain to be a racing driver is, and that's something I pride myself on everyday life. The reason why I feel like I'm such a good fit for the shootout and for racing in general is I love my fitness. Whether I was trying to be a race car driver, an NFL player, or if I was just trying to be an accountant, my physical level that I would uphold myself to and the standard I would uphold myself to would always be the same. But what really took over my fitness journey was when my racing career abruptly stopped 2 years ago. I just thought to myself, if I got the opportunity to be back in a race car, a team wanted me, or I came up with the funding, I'm 2 years down on everybody else. I was racing Formula 4, so for instance, you can take one of my Formula 4 teammates that is now in Formula 3. If I was tasked with being his teammate again, obviously to me, he has the advantage being in a race car for 2 years longer than me. So I just thought long and hard, what would be ways that I could have an advantage over him, over the other competitors? And that is the gym. If they can be testing all they want, and when the time comes that we have a very endurance long race, a very hot conditions, I know I'll have the advantage there, and I know I will break them down mentally by not slowing down on the track, not letting mistakes get to me, not letting the heat get to me. Fitness is something I pride a lot, and it really came to me just by thinking, how do I give myself the biggest advantage I possibly can? That same idea with the fitness of doing everything I can to have an advantage, I do that a lot with iRacing as well. I'm always on iRacing doing testing. For instance, I've done a lot of laps at NGMP in that Mazda car. So I will go above and beyond around my schedule. I have a job. I have 3 siblings that I have to take care of. I have a clothing brand that I run. I will go above and beyond past those limitations to make sure and ensure that I have an advantage over the other drivers despite not being in a race car. For the main strengths and weaknesses, I also want to apply myself not in a racing factor, kind of taking a step back into the selection process of how I am as a person compared to everyone else. So some main weaknesses I have is I am a very relentless person. When I hyperfixate on something, that is the only thing that I want to get done. And sometimes it can hinder different things. So if I'm really focused on hitting a new max for bench, maybe my work life, maybe my family life, maybe my relationships will kind of take the backseat as I push forward to reach that goal. And I consider it a weakness because I would like to get better as a person of keeping my schedule even and evenly balanced. So when it comes to motorsport, when I'm in race mode a month before, everything is shut down, whether it's social media, whether it's my friends, family, loved ones. I'm going hard in the gym, and School sometimes could take a step back, and obviously I know that's not the best thing, especially with being in college now. So that would probably be my main weakness, how I'm just so relentless with something and I'm just so obsessed with it. And then again, for strengths, I have many strengths and weaknesses when it comes to motorsport. Racecraft would be my first strength when it comes to racing. But as a person, I would say I'm really well spoken. As I go up these ladders in motorsport, I know the camera is something I'm going to have to be in front of, and interviews I'm going to have to do, and I have to please sponsors, please the team, and set a good role model. And I think I really reached that strength through being the oldest of 4 boys. My dad works very hard, and my mom is usually busy cleaning the house and working as well. So a lot of times I'm the one that my brothers Jake, Jack, and James come with me to the problems. I'm the one that has to pick them up from school. And it can be challenging sometimes, but it's something that I really welcome. And speaking of challenges, there is not a challenge that I have faced that I've never backed down from. This is a challenge in itself. I have to reach the 3rd round, and then I hopefully have to win the whole thing and get some money for my racing career. But challenges is not something that I'll ever back down from. And there have been times where I've been down and out and I didn't really think that I could prevail in this challenge, but I still pushed through. And then how my strengths and weaknesses apply to this selection process, I just feel like it would be great if I could go to New Jersey and win the money. That challenge I would go through, that challenge that I put myself through and I would adhere to and keep going through would be a testament to myself and you guys that there's no challenge big enough that I will not accomplish. If I don't make it past this round, if I don't win the money there, if I don't place there, to me, that is no problem because I'm not someone who could get easily discouraged. This challenge I'm on is becoming an IndyCar driver. This challenge I'm on is becoming a professional race car driver. I've been challenging myself since I was 3 years old to do this all. So no matter the outcome of this, the challenge I present and that I will not back down from is not telling that I will be discouraged no matter the results of this, because whether I have money from you guys, fortunately, to continue my racing career, or if I don't, I'm not going to stop on this journey and I'm not going to stop pushing myself as hard as I possibly can to meet this challenge. In motorsports, the next question is, what are my key priorities? I've had the luxury of being in multiple forms of motorsports my entire life, and I learn through the don'ts. I've had a lot of teammates. I've raced against a lot of kids over the years, and they've taught me a lot of what not to do. So a common thing in karting, for instance, was I'll come in a session, I'll be a little bit quicker, a little bit slower than someone, they'll say, oh, my engine sucks. Oh, my chassis sucks, the changes weren't good, my mechanic sucks. And that really taught me that I have never once complained about an engine problem. I've never once complained about the car handling. My motto has always been, if it gets me off the grid, I am happy with it. Obviously, I push the team and myself to make the car even faster, make the engine even faster, make the correct adjustments through the driver and the team to do that. But really the key priorities I have is I've been on a lot of different race teams, and you don't judge a book by its cover, but I usually do. And within the first day of a new race team, all I need to know is the race team, are you guys as invested to make me a better driver and to get the best out of me that you can? I don't want to hear good jobs for running in last place. I don't want to say you got your best effort. Are you a team that really pushes myself to reach a limit that I never thought possible? I went through a few karting teams where the finishes were mediocre at best, and I was giving it my all, is what I thought at the time. And I hooked up with Ryan Perry Motorsport, which was a team in karting. And when I tell you I have never been under a better system in my life as a person, growing as a person, than that team. Ryan Perry was a bit of a punk. The engineers were a bit of a punks too. But it really got me the change that I needed to do. To that point, my racing career was a win here and there, and it was pretty quick here and there, a couple crashes here and there. But when I joined that team and the relentless pursuit that they were on to drill me every second they had to be better, it doesn't matter if I swept a weekend. If my lap times weren't on par to being consistent every lap, I would have got drilled. And over the 4 years I had the luxury of being with Ryan Perry Motorsport, it really shaped me and developed me into the stronger, better man and the best possible version I could be of myself. So when it comes to motorsport, my key priorities is just finding a network of people around me that will push me and get the most out of me that I possibly can. Because I feel as humans, we all have that limit of what we think is possible. I've reached it many times. And it took people like Ryan Perry, it took people like my father on this team to really push myself and get results that I didn't really think were going to be achievable. The next question is, who are the key team members that influence my performance, and then how do I maintain that relationship? So the key team members, I would go straight to the top, the team owner and boss. It's really reassuring when whoever's writing the checks and getting the bills in is there and actually wants you to do well and wants his team to do good. I kind of look at, if you think about NASCAR, Chip Ganassi and Roger Penske, their bread and butter was IndyCar. That was great. And they would win in NASCAR a lot too. But a lot of times they'd be at the Daytona 500, they'd be at the Coke 600, and Roger and Chip wouldn't be there. And it just made me think, if I was driving for Penske, I'd want Roger to be my races if he could. And the first thing I look at is the team owner, does he want to win? I wouldn't really feel comfortable racing for a team if 3rd to 8th place is what we were shooting for. Some other key members that I think is, I mean, it's everybody, but you want to talk about your tire changer, your data guy, your race engineer. I think all of those people need to be in your network of people on the team that you talk to. And the thing is, you have friends, I have friends, and you want nothing more than to see your friends and family do good. A common misconception I see with all these race car drivers is I'll be talking to them and they'll be saying, oh yeah, you know, my mechanic's kind of an idiot. My tire changer is kind of slow. I would never speak about that about my friends. As soon as I hit a race team, everyone on that team is my friend. They're my best friends because they love racing just as much as I do. A lot of them have similar paths of me. They wanted to become a race car driver, and it just unfortunately didn't work out for them. It doesn't mean that they don't love racing anymore. So how do I maintain those relationships? Well, dinner's a great thing. If you're at the same weekend and you both need to eat, why not go to dinner? You can discuss briefly some things that you're going to do tomorrow for the race. When I raced for Kiwi Motorsport and F4, they were the absolute best. We would talk a little bit about the racing, and then we'd talk about family. We'd talk about football. We'd have fun. And I think that's something that gets lost in racing is you need to have fun. That's the whole point of the game. So just really going out to dinners, doing some extracurriculars during the weekend when you're not actually racing is a great way to keep those relationships up. Another person that I would say is a key relationship is my dad. Having not the same amount of funding as everyone, I never had a mechanic. I never said, hey, Ross, you're my mechanic. Hey, Braun, you're my race engineer. Nice to meet you. It was always my dad. My dad doesn't come from a racing background. My dad would force himself to accept the challenge of learning how to set up race cars and learning how to set up karts and get the most out of me. And that's something I really pride myself on, being on this racing journey with my dad, him by my side. He's always been my mechanic. He will always be my engineer. I was racing in the F4 United States Championship the same weekend as F1. You'd think I would go all out and hire the best engineer. But during the race, I have my own father telling me, hey, you need to carry more speed in turn 3. Hey, you need to carry speed in turn 4. And that really pushes me. And I think to all these drivers, their dad, their mother, their uncle needs to be more than just writing the checks. And that's a relationship that I will continue to grow in my life and in my racing career. The next question you guys want to know is, do you network within the racing industry and what have you learned? So my short answer would be yes and no. Yes, inadvertently, I have been networking since I was 4 years old. I've been teammates with Colton Herta, Jagger Jones, grandson of Parnelli Jones, and Jace Jones as well. I have raced against David Malukas. I've shared conversations at the racetrack with Juan Pablo Montoya and Sebastian Montoya. So during that time, because they've been around the block and they know what they're talking about, yeah, I did network. I did meet a lot of people. I did meet a lot of potential sponsors. I did meet a lot of higher up people who have a lot of knowledge. Currently, through these last 2 years, I kind of dropped the ball on who I could be networking with. So currently, I have been networking with people in the motorsport industry. Gary Vee is someone who's really into racing. If you don't know who that is, look him up. And he's a close contact to me now, and he's really helping me network. But some things I've learned from those people was Brian Herta, the strategist for Andretti Autosport, former IndyCar driver. He just taught me how you need to be relentless on this pursuit. And sometimes you need to sacrifice things, such as he moved his son. Colton moved alone to Great Britain when he was 12 years old and stayed there till he was 18 and then find himself here in IndyCar. And I'll never forget PJ Jones, Parnelli Jones' son. He asked me, what am I doing after the race? And I said, well, I'm going to go home. And I think I was probably like 10 years old. I was like, oh, we're going to drive home and I'm going to probably play video games. And he's like, when did the checker flag hit? And I was like, I don't know, maybe 4 hours ago. He's like, okay, that's when the race just starts. Driving a race car is 10% in the race car and 90% out of the race car. And that really stuck with me because as a racing driver, your responsibility is to bring sponsors. Racing is a sport that needs fields. We need drivers. I'm a driver. We need teams because they need to make their money and they love racing. You need investors. Investors love motorsports. They want to spend their money on motorsports. You need that. You need sponsors in racing. They want their voice to be heard throughout motorsport culture. That's how racing works. That's how it's worked for hundreds of years. And he was just telling me if I'm not doing my part on the side afterwards, I'm no longer going to be a racing driver. It's only 10% what you do in the car. So that's the main lesson I learned. And to whom the winners may ever be, it's really transparent that they need to know that. I've won hundreds of races, and look at me. I'm trying to win money for a scholarship shootout. Obviously, my talent was never good enough to reach the top, or else I fortunately would be in IndyCar by now. I would be in Indy Lights right now. Like many of us, we've all had the highs and lows of motorsport and in life. My biggest failure I've had to manage was in 2017 at the biggest karting race in the world, the SCUSA Supernats. I unfortunately didn't make the race. I've had to do 10s of 20s of races that you had to qualify for the race, and that's the first and only time I ever didn't do it. So during the weekend, my team as a whole was kind of slow. We kind of missed the setup. But I was the slowest out of all of them, and I never saw that as a red flag. I just kept thinking, Ryan Perry, my owner at the time and lead engineer, he'll get it going, he'll get us going, and I didn't qualify well. I didn't do my heat races well. I didn't do anything well. And I put all my chips in the table for the LCQ. The LCQ is one of the most terrifying places to be. I've never been in LCQ except for that time. I was like, okay, well, these drivers are here for a reason. They're probably not the cream of the crop. I'm a championship national level driver. I'll have no problem. And I was in third place, perfectly in a transfer spot. And racing is the most unfair sport in the world. My bumper bent into my tire and I went off. I finished like 9th place and I didn't make the final. But after that, I really learned that you need to push yourself to 110%. That weekend, I can confidently say I was giving it 80%. That race is so strenuous on your mental, physical, your wallet. $10,000, $20,000 is spent on that one karting race. And I really learned after that the next season in 2018, I raced in the California Pro Kart Challenge as a rookie and I won the championship. And there were times that I was 3, maybe even 7 tenths up on the field. And not for 1 second did I kick my feet up and say, we're in for a good weekend. I just buckled down, I put my head down, and I was like, no, we need to get as fast as we possibly can. And the championship boiled down to the last race, and I ended up winning it. So I really learned that you need to get the most out of it. And you don't want to leave things to chance in racing. You don't want to wait till the last second to pull your weekend together. So that's the biggest thing that I learned through that failure of not making the race. The next question was, what strategies do I employ to get my thoughts followed through with? I don't really have that much of a strategy. It's just persistence. If I think we need to make a change to the car, I'll tell you. If they don't listen to one time, if I'm at work and my father and Josh don't listen to me, I'll tell them again. And I just don't get discouraged and I keep going through with it. For the next question, what would I do to motivate a team? Well, at the end of the day, drivers, mechanics, team owners, we're all there for a reason. We all love racing. We all want to have fun. And just if the whole team is struggling as a whole, just bring them together and just say, this is not show the caliber of what we are, and just get the most out of yourself as a mechanic, as a engineer, as a driver. So just really uplifting everyone and just saying, let's go out there and have fun. We're all here for a reason. And, are we getting the best out of ourselves that we possibly can? The perception I think people have of me, I have 2 answers. The first one would be outside of the car. People really think of me as very caring and genuine. I'm always there to help people no matter the circumstances. I'm really responsible. I have a big responsibility with my family and my job. I'm really reliable and dependable. I get things done on time. I'm never late. Now, in the race car, I didn't make much friends when I was racing, but PJ Jones, Parnelli Jones' son, told me, if you have friends, you're doing something wrong. And if you're pissing people off, you're doing something right. So the perception I had was very aggressive driver, very hard to race against, very not nice on the track. And that's something I'm very proud of because I think that's how you have to be as a racing driver. And then the last question about the core value for a team, it's kind of repetitive what I've been saying, but as a driver, as a crew, as data engineers, are you getting the most out of the opportunity you're given? Everyone's dream is everyone's dream is to be the highest level of what they can achieve, and just as a team, having fun is getting the most out of yourself.